Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dan, your handsome host, straight from the Propaganda Ministry here in Denmark, and it's time for another 1 vs 1 on Egletons. This time, yes indeed, we will be returning a bit to Egletons after a brief absence from this rather curious map, this sort of inverted Angerville. And by that I mean, of course, we do have a central road going through it. We do have victory points by 2 in the eastern side, but the resources have been rather changed. And also the sort of defensiveness, instead of the victory points being in the heavily dense territory, they're now in the open territory, and all of the resources are between all the buildings, all the more difficult to maneuver and stuff. We have a fuel medium and some low points. Good show there. Of course, we do also have 2 very important strategic points which can cut off the entire bloody thing. So that's of course a very important thing to note. Eastern side, not so many resources, although there's 1 high munitions point, but the western side has 2. So again, the west is just a bit more profitable on this map. And let us go have a look at our opponents in the northern corner. Yes indeed, we are having our old friend Rommelslayer again. And why some of you might be wondering, well, why I'm showing you this quickly again. Well, I had 8 games to choose from, yes indeed, entirely 8. But some of them might be more useful in that sort of experimental operation thing I did once, being about only 20 minutes, and others I felt might be more suited for the sort of plan I have for sort of having a novice Monday sort of cast, that is, games that are low key players, basically not the best ones, but still something that can be learned from, and hopefully something interesting. So of course I rather felt some of them might be a bit better there. Some of them I'm not entirely sure, and I need more look-throughs added, but currently it's getting a bit late here, and it's also getting a bit bloody hot. So of course rather had to make a decision, get it done with, and of course for this Rommelslayer falls in, it was either that or pull in one of my own games, and I rather felt we already had one yesterday, so no. Let's go have a look. Of course we're having Rommelslayer right here from the British, in fact, 41st Infantry Division. Opposing him shall be Mr. GTmike. GTmike of the 712 Bodenständige Grenadier Division, Fortress Division, holding the line. And apparently there's a building in the background. Never noticed that. Oh wait, that's one of those cardboard buildings. Damn French living in cardboard buildings. Anyhow, we of course don't have time for that, so let's in fact get right to it. Time for some British action in a 1 vs 1 instead of a 2 vs 2, which is rather where we've been lately seeing them, with the dreaded British-American combo, but here it's just a Brit on his own versus the vicious Wehrmacht. Spooky. A bit of politeness there, always good to see. Reconnaissance section heading south. 2nd infantry section on the way, rather interesting. Not the usual thing you see. You usually see a lieutenant, but let's be a bit careful. Pioneers heading towards these, going for the fuel point, which is of course right next to the base, and of course can't be cut off. That's always a good thing. Infantry section number 2 on the way. What shall the truck do? Get another lieutenant, something else, or pack up. And this strategic point is now secured for the honor of King George. A lieutenant is on the way. Pioneers heading towards this strategic point. Wehrmacht quarters light are flashing, heralding the imminent arrival of something. But what though, I can't really see at the moment. We are seeing an infantry section securing this fuel point. Recon section securing this high munitions point, always nice to see. Lieutenant's soon ready, and looks like it will be packing up right after that. And we are seeing an MG42 right out of the Wehrmacht quarters. We'll probably be setting up either here or here. Of course from here it will be able to cover this strategic point, which is usually what you see some do. Cut off this, and of course ensure that it can't come into the hands of the opposing player. So that will probably what will be happening. Yes indeed, the MG42 ignoring this house. It rather wants this house with the slightly better furniture possibly. Although then again that might all be subjective. Could also be there's a secret stash of beer. We are seeing the recon section hiding out behind the postal office, perhaps unawares of what's going on there. No, they can in fact spot it. since of course the reconnaissance section can spot a bit further. Good show there. Will of course also be vital to keep them out of range of the machine gun. And what is this? Headquarters command track doing a bit of that Danish blockade trick there, securing this strategic point and of course ensuring it can't be cut off, which of course is a pretty good move, of course, which of course will render this heavy machine gun right here a bit less useful, and of course it can't cover this point. Well, it can, but there's no one actually able to take it, so it all becomes a bit void. Mortar pit being set up rather here, perhaps to bombard this building, but a bit interesting, we are seeing Volksgrenadiers up close as well. Reconnaissance section happily laying down the sandbags for the mortar pit. Volksgrenadiers advancing, firing through that fence. Oh dear, mortar pit a bit exposed, and if they fire on the reconnaissance section will be more vulnerable, easier to hit and take more damage. In fact, there we go, one reconnaissance chap is down. Volksgrenadiers firing away for the fatherland, bullets flying, mortar pit is ready, but still it's awfully close. But now, no, the Volksgrenadiers is getting ever closer to the 4-man reconnaissance team. This is not looking good. And getting into the postal office. Going postal on the Volksgrenadiers. There we go, mortar opening up. MG42 team getting out of the building immediately as the mortar rounds begin flying, landing close to the MG42, but doing absolutely no harm. Infantry section and lieutenant pushing onwards in the east. MG42 moving towards. Might want to put some pressure on this mortar emplacement. Good show there. Bren carrier now hitting the field, could be getting the Vickers machine gun upgrade, could be not. And now firing away at the postal office, gunning down the reconnaissance section inside. This is not looking good, taking quite a bit of damage. The wooden carts the Volksgrenadiers are hiding behind are going down, leaving them with a lot less cover. But the overwhelming firepower being brought down on the reconnaissance troops is going to kill them. There we go, down to only one man, and of course getting out on the right side again. The key is sort of to, in this case, not just right click on them, ordering them out, but select the building, select the team with a left click, select the unload button, which should usually be about here, and then click on the side where you want them to exit, and they shall do so. Had he perhaps just right clicked, they might have ended right there, and of course they would have been absolutely slaughtered, gunned down like lambs. Well, no, you don't usually gun down lambs, my apologies. But there we go, mortar pit is left behind him lines. More Brent gun charging in for King George and the Union Jack. Vickers machine gun almost ready. There we go, Vickers machine gun is ready, gunning down the Volksgrenadiers. 2 down. Oh dear, that's a lot of firepower being brought down on those unfortunate troops of the Bodenständige Division. British troops continuing to secure the east. Good show there. We are seeing pioneers and a sniper down here. Panzerfaust flying at the Bren carrier. The Bren carrier will be in need of some repairs rather swiftly, I fear. And now the big machine gun might be opening up on the Bren carrier. Oh, what? No, the Bren carrier scoots away for victory, for Churchill, for tea, marmalade, jam. And now securing this victory point. In fact, this will be the first secured victory point of this match. Pioneers advancing. Sniper still hanging out right here behind the old stone fence, and the Bren carrier heroically charges in without repairs and taking quite a bit of fire from the machine gun emplacement. Needs to get away from there. It cannot fight though. No, oh dear, he decides to turn it about. That was a terrible move. The Bren carrier is immediately lost. That's some rather heavy losses already. Mortar emplacement and the Bren carrier leaving behind only 2 infantry teams, 1 reconnaissance, and now field support truck being called in, but this is really going to be an advantage for the Wehrmacht. Mortar emplacement and a Bren carrier down. That's about 500 manpower and some fuel, about 15 in fact, and of course the 50 munitions for the Vickers and Volksgrenadiers already tier 2. We are seeing MP40s being handed out to these unfortunate Volksgrenadiers, but they are tearing apart the British troops up close. This is not looking good, forcing all the British into a full retreat as further Volksgrenadiers advancing through the meadows, through the fields ever beautifully, except they have grey Volksgrenadiers in them. Snipers also taking a few shots but not hitting. Apparently though the lieutenant took 1 shot. MG42 still hiding in the postal office. And looks like 1 chap went down. That was a bit unfortunate, but it's not a lieutenant. Now setting up a mortar emplacement right here. Perhaps hoping to cover this area. Of course the strategic point cannot be seized, but they of course perhaps don't know that right away. Postal office perhaps receiving a postal bombardment post haste. And we are seeing a bunker going up right here at the Central Road junction. rather dominating spot. Could be for medic bunker, could be for machine gun as well. Could certainly control this area in a rather nice movement. Of course, it's also going to be a rather nice target. And there we go. Scavenging munitions from the Bren carrier. Could be just taking the parts and then trading them in at the quartermaster, who knows. But that's not a bad idea. I usually see some players actually forgetting that, and I always curse at them. Don't secure as many munitions as you can. Scavenge munitions from vehicles. That's the way for Wehrmacht victory. Sniper firing away. Recon section could snipe him. Will that happen? Yes, indeed. That was a bit unfortunate. Sniper was not good enough. Going down. Pioneers also lost. That's certainly going to rectify the situation a little bit. And rifle grenades flying. Pioneers getting into the postal office. That's not good. And rifle grenades flying through the windows, but missing. Medic station is up. At the same time, false grenades are pushing towards the east, while the west is looking a bit shaky. Mortar rounds hitting the Pioneers. Those Pioneers really need to get out of there. And of course, the lieutenant also getting in. He can, of course, also provide sort of movement from inside. But one thing to keep in mind, I'll just briefly pause. When you exit your troops again, the lieutenant will not follow. You have to exit. Give him the exit order as well, otherwise he'll just be hanging in there, having a spot of tea and a rest. So keep that in mind. Lieutenants can occasionally be a bit of lazy. Returning to the fight, MG42 taking up positions on the parapet, ready to cover this spot. Of course, rifle grenades can still do a bit of damage, ignoring the cover. So that, of course, is a bad thing. One machine gunner is down, and the recon section taking up position on this house as well. Raining down fire there. That's absolutely terrible. Volkswagen is advancing from the east. MP40s, though, do not do much damage against infantry buildings. Keep that in mind. Had they had assault grenades, they could have cleared those chaps out, perhaps, but no. Instead, they won't be able to do much. In fact, they will be taking heavy damage from rifle grenades and whatnot else. MG42 taking up position in the bunker. Volkswagen being absolutely slaughtered. Oh, dear. And forced into a full retreat, running through the streets of Egletons. Medics moving in, picking up whoever they can to pull back for the medic bunker. MG firing away out the building. My goodness, and getting in another sniper, it seems. This could end up badly if Mr. Rommelslayer gets in a field support truck, but I mean a steward. He does have a captain, but no sappers, no steward. And sniper opening up here, lieutenant getting out of there. Hiccup. Sniping in. Oh, come on. You got to be kidding me. Still nothing from the field support truck. Nothing from here as well, but we are seeing a creek barracks going up, perhaps anticipating a steward soon, which you should generally always do. So good job there. Good show there, Mr. GTmike. Setting up the creek shop, ready to deliver some packed business. Although it looks like the British have cut off this point. Good show there. Certainly going to render all of this beyond the reach of the Wehrmacht for now. So good show there from Rommelslayer, really being bold, being sneaky. And we are seeing the captain running about with his Whitley revolver and leather vest, securing a bit territory here. Again, going to force up the Wehrmacht to spread a bit out if they actually want to handle this. So good job. Volkswagen is advancing in the west now, perhaps hoping to put a boot up the arse of this reconnaissance section. Looks like the Pioneers are advancing here, and we are seeing something on the way from the creek barracks. What though, I can't say. Sappers on the way from the field support truck. Casualty cleaning station going up, could be for healing. Certainly that lieutenant could do with it. And there we go, captain running for his life. Could be a descendant of Sir Robin. False Grenadiers advancing. Recon section getting sniped, and False Grenadiers not moving in. No, they are moving in to intercept in case the recon section try to rush the sniper. Good show there, but no. What's going on? Oh dear, but now hunting down the sniper once more. The hunt for the red sniper has set up. False Grenadiers hunting down the recon section, forcing them to retreat as they blast away with their German-made submachine guns, machine pistol and 40. And it is time to look over at GTmike. No doctrine as of yet. A pack, though, hitting the field. Grenadiers or a half-tack would certainly be a good thing to call in then. He certainly has the manpower fuel for it. And getting another pack. Although it looks like this medic bunker might soon call in some extra troops. False Grenadiers holding the line here. Rifle grenades flying through the air. Piats as well. False Grenadiers are not stopping up, getting closer, ever closer to the rifle grenades, which could backfire, I suppose. One rifle grenadier is lost. Piats also charging in. This is... oh dear, false grenadiers are clamped up. And one rifle grenade clears out the entire bunch. Heavy losses. Most unfortunate, commandos charging in through the air, crashing the glider. Bit of a wreck, but then again, they weren't really supposed to last. Moving in. They are getting suppressed by the MG42. They could have perhaps smoked up, but again, you can't immediately use commando smoke. That's sort of to prevent some nasty business like that, dropping them, laying down a demolition charge. But afterwards, you could use them to put down a demolition charge on this bunker and clear it out. Now they are instead securing this point. Now they are using commando smoke, but I'd recommend they actually got a bit closer before that, because as you might have noticed, it immediately wears off, and now they're getting torn to bits out in the open. Silly commandos. Opening up on the pack. Will they clear it out with their Sten guns? Yes, indeed. Down to 2 men. What? And running through the gauntlet. Oh dear, looks like these commandos will all be receiving any awards posthumously. And yes, there we go. The sniper securing a final shot. A crack shot. Stewart though moving in. Sniper trying to do his best, but it is not possible. Pack maneuvering about. Where's the second one? Or was that cancelled? Yes, could have been apparently. Instead getting some Grenadiers. Pack under fire from the Stewart. Stewart though needs to keep moving. Does not want to stop up right in front of the pack. And pack is once more cleared out. Good show there from Rommelslayer's light tank. False Grenadiers taking some severe losses, while the German forces, British forces are in fact securing this. Securing the MG42 as well. Good show there. Keeping it out of the hands of the Wehrmacht. Grenadiers standing about, doing nothing, not pressing onwards here. That could have been the trick. Although the Stuart should be careful about fighting right next to the bunker. It could end up just providing more wounded to more Grenadiers. Assault phase has been reached. And defensive is of course up. Sniper sniping. Oh dear, the German seized British machine gun. Well, that's a bit roundabout. I mean the German machine gun that the British seized. Oh dear, silly me. And another commando team charging in, perhaps hoping to get that sniper with the Sten guns. Will they succeed? No, the sniper runs out of there. Much more fortunate than his former comrade. Grenade flying at the medic bunker, but the bunker is actually a bit resistant to grenades. That's actually a fun fact about this. And this glider will also be cleared out. Also one thing to note, and I'll just briefly pause. You can actually scavenge munitions from these gliders, so if you're the Wehrmacht, again, scavenge them away. They can actually give a nice bit of munitions. Lots of manpower, and looks like a pioneer team is getting ready, apparently down to only 1. Grenadiers advancing, perhaps getting a Panzerschreck somewhere. No? No Panzerschrecks it seems. Or mines, or anything. Mortar rounds now landing from this mortar emplacement. Stewart getting repaired by the heroic sappers. Commandos once more charging outwards. This point has not been re-secured. That's a bit odd. But it looks like this medic bunker has become the focal point of the Wehrmacht defenses. The Widerstandnisten right here of Egletons shall hold the line for the Bodenständige Division, which has certainly gone up for the defensive, which of course is around how they were intended to be used. Commandos charging in. Grenades flying at the Grenadiers. Oh dear. But the Grenadiers are not killed, although the commandos in fact are taking some losses. Grenades thrown at the commandos, but it's too far, and the Grenadiers are forced into a full retreat. Oh dear. Grenadier team is lost. Second Grenadier team will have to hold the line. Snipers opening up on the commandos, down to 4. Medics quickly moving in to pick up the wounded Grenadiers, which of course could see a Grenadier team on the way, so that's going to be of help. Victory point here is secured. Pack number 2 on the way. This one has not been re-secured, in fact. And Stewart charging in. Grenadiers opening up on this recon section, which is moving in to get the sniper. Oh dear. Once more counter-sniped by the reconnaissance section. This is only not fortunate. While the Volksgrenadiers are securing the west, some British troops are hiding about near as well, under the supervision of the captain. Stuart opening up on these pioneers, forcing them back. They had been trying to set up a bunker, but no such luck. And another pioneer team, why he isn't using the fact that he is at the salt phase to get the Sturm Armory up, is beyond me. And there we go, another Grenadier team. Medics still continuing out to pull in some of those poor wounded pioneers. Will we be seeing the Sturm Armory now? Could we please? Anyhow, it's time for the mid-game analysis. Currently, the Wehrmacht is holding the center. They are holding some of the victory points, but at the same time, they are having a bit of trouble dealing with the Stuart and the rifle grenades. They have suddenly been able to do a bit of casualties and damage. And of course, the British are ever pushing onwards in the west or in the east, constantly shifting. And of course, the commandos are getting ever present, ever frustrating, and ever bold and daring. What GTmike needs is, of course, the Sturm Armory. He needs to get either a Puma or a Stug or a Nebelwerfer, but he needs to get more than just Grenadiers, and might also want to get some veterans in. That could really help. We'll of course have to see this. Of course, for Mr. Rommelslayer, one key is of course to try and get some commandos close, drop a demolition charge, then blow the entire thing to Kingdom Come. Another key of course might be to utterly ignore it, which of course is a good move, and instead just secure the western and the eastern bits, constantly ensuring to move around and of course force the Grenadiers to find away from it. So that's certainly also a move. That's rather the two options he has. We'll of course have to see for which one he goes, and let us return to the fight. Rifle Grenadiers without the supervision of a Lieutenant Advance, slowly firing the rifle grenades at the Volksgrenadiers who are standing out in the open. That's not looking good, and apparently getting into the House of God. That's not going to do much help. Although it looks like one Volksgrenadier was very close to biting the dust, and now it's very much in the range of the rifle grenades and the rest of the gunners. Grenadiers charging in as well. Rifle grenades flying, not doing much. Grenades flying at the church. One Volksgrenadier down, one rifle grenadier down. Those troops really need to spread out, though. More grenades flying at the Brits inside the church. Another Briton is down, and the last two are getting out, making a dash for British lines once more. Pushing onwards in the east as well, again staying away from the bunker and continually hitting either side, shifting again and again. Good show there, good move, good aggression. And we are seeing a Flak 88 coming up. Pack has been recruited, and Stuart is coming under heavy fire from both packs, and the Flak 88 is now ever slowly turning, but the Stuart is cleared out before that. Commandos charging in could clear out that Flak 88 in seconds. And there we go, the Flak 88 is no longer in German hands, and in fact looks like the commandos are seizing it, but the packs fire away at it immediately as well in return, going to knock out that Flak 88 in seconds. There we go. So that Flak 88 actually managed to do nothing, and more commandos are dropping behind German lines, clearing out the commando. Might also clear out these Grenadiers with a bit of luck. Then again, if he uses snow, he doesn't have the resources for the fatherland. Grenade drop, but it's not enough for the Grenadiers. They will have to retreat in the face of the commandos. Medics still doing their job, pulling back the wounded. Looks like the commandos will be going for this cut-off point.
We are losing ground.
Grenadiers pulling back to the bunker for reinforcements. Still a lot of manpower, a lot of fuel being floated, and now still no Sturm Armory or nothing else to really use it for. No half-tracks either. That could also be of help.
We are losing territory.
Pack opening up. Grenadiers not looking good. Another Grenadier team is ready, being reinforced at the medic bunker. And looks like artillery is being called in, or could it be decoy artillery? One thing to note though, bunkers can't retreat, so decoy them all you want. They will be standing most stalwartly in the face of opposition. Commandos charging in might clear out those Grenadiers though, although they are reinforcing. MG42 might also turn. Piats rounds flying at the bunker. Commandos forced into a retreat. And another Grenadier team ready. My goodness, that might be the third Grenadier team, if not the fourth, ready. Good show there in keeping the fight around that. And a bold attempt from Rommelslayer to knock it out, but not quite what was needed. We are seeing a command truck up as well. Still no Sturm Armory. He might be going for another Flak 88. Yes, indeed, it seems like. Can't help but feel that the Sturm Armory might have been a better move. Might have been some better mobile options, and these Volksgrenadiers really need to get out there, and they also need to get either a medic kit or some veterans to slowly heal themselves. And in fact, just as I mentioned, this Kampfkraft Center on the way from the Bodenständige, and let us return to Mr. Rommelslayer, who of course has gone commandos versus the defenses of the Bodenständige Grenadier, which basically meant steadfast, or steadfast basically. Not the most well-equipped or well-trained troops. They were basically the lowest rated amongst the Wehrmacht ratings, which of course rated as troops and of course then divided them out amongst the divisions. They were basically only meant for defensive duties, to hold a piece of line, which of course had been fortified, and then do their best. Although in many cases they didn't do too well, partly also due to the fact they had been equipped with the Osttruppen, who in most cases would generally give up at first sign of opportunity. Of course, unawares, of course, they had been returned to the Soviets, who did not really like people surrendering and then joining the Germans at all. Volksgrenadiers need to get out of there. Oh dear, crossed by the Cromwell. Oh dear. Grenadiers now need to retreat before the high explosive shells of the Cromwell tear them to bits. What's he doing? Oh dear, get those Grenadiers out of there. There we go. Charging them out anti-tank assets. He could also be advancing here a bit, and we are seeing nothing else out now for now though. Pack could be recruited. Oh dear, he used his pioneers. Why not the Grenadiers? At least they could be reinforced. And the Cromwell goes for the German base. Packs will have to move in to deal with this, while the Grenadiers have to get out of the line of fire, and of course the path of the Cromwell lest they get turned to pulp. Packs moving in, although uncloaking them would be better so they can move faster. But that's just me. Grenadiers hanging about here, could advance to here. Rommelslayer still being bold, attacking the base now. Of course, dividing their attention, but he should be aware that, of course, there probably will be packs, and in fact, looks like he's pulling out after a good raid. And there we go, pack opening up, but it is too late. The Cromwell gets out of there safely, having done a bit of nasty raiding in the German base. Looks like the British forces are once more moving out in large numbers. 2 commando teams are also sneaking about in the west. But dastardly Rommelslayer not giving up. Grenadiers from the Bodenständige, and of course the Flak 88 watching over all with its 88mm gun. Very dangerous except against infantry, since it rarely hits by now. Against armor it's still nasty. Blasting away at the British infantry. Not much luck. Although in real life it was actually pretty devastating. It was in fact also used as a sort of artillery gun. Grenadiers holding up in the open against submachine guns out close in a building. That's a very, very bad tactical engagement. Grenades flying through the windows. Grenadiers need to get out of there. Come on. 1 commando dead. Oh dear, get those Grenadiers out of there quickly, quickly. Packs opening up on the building, hoping to clear it out. Artillery going down on the bunker. Grenadiers still need to retreat. Grenadiers, run, you bastards. It looks like a full British assault going on in the east. Flag 88 might be cleared out. MG doing its best from the medic station. Grenadiers are lost. Commandos leading the charge, and more commandos landing in the midst. This is looking like a total rout for the Bodenständige and Mr. GTmike. Packs being cleared out by commandos. Bunker being cleared out by commandos. The MG gunner in there almost dead now. Grenadiers desperately trying to hold the line, but without support, without mortars, without MGs, without a Stug or a Puma, they can't do much. And are getting absolutely torn to bits. No for the fatherland either. One getting sniped before some of the British retreat. This first pack cleared out once more. Second pack not going to live much longer either. Some British troops are getting torn apart, but the Grenadiers are suffering even more heavily. And the pack is lost. In fact, looks like everything is lost except this medic bunker, which might be able to get out another Grenadier team. And there we go, but still heavy losses and not much to actually counter-attack with by now. False Grenadiers getting ready as well, but no vehicles to actually lead the charge. No Stuke to deal with the Cromwell. And Grenadiers out in the open, taking fire from Commandos and Cromwell. And oh dear, another Grenadier team which had just gotten out of the bunker immediately ends as well. That was unfortunate. And Grenadiers hanging back in the east while all that was going on with a Panzerschreck. That was absolutely terrible, I'd say. And another attack going in from the front. Looks like it's most of the remaining forces of the Grenadier Division. Artillery being called in. Although it looks like decoy since his commandos are close. And apparently the Grenadiers and False Grenadiers ignore the commandos getting close. Oh dear. Looks like this Ralph Grenadier team might be cleared out. False Grenadiers are lost. Ralph Grenadiers are killed. The commandos though still holding the line. Grenadiers forcing away the Cromwell. It seems like no, it's charging in. Doing its worst. And these Grenadiers are still not doing too well either. Oh dear. So there you go. A loss to the 716th Bodenständige Grenadier Division in the face of the British 43rd Infantry Division. The Cromwell leading the charge, sending away the last of the Grenadiers. So, what can we learn from this? Well, we saw some rather bold movements from Rommelslayer, constantly shifting to side again, like we saw him under the guise of Pattern Slayer. I mean, if one side is too hard, try the other one, force away the opposing force from their strong positions and force them into easier positions, one where you control the things, which of course is what you want to do. You always want to be in control if possible, and of course force him away from there where he is strongest. Good strategy right there. Of course the German commander got a bit bold at times, lost that MP40 team. That was really terrible. I mean, he had a bit of advantage at the start with the mortar pit and the Bren gun lost. But then he sort of seemed to throw it away with the sniper getting another one, which did alright, but still not much. He could have gone for Grenadiers much faster, or a pack. He could have gone for a half-track or a mortar, but we didn't really see much besides those Grenadiers after that, which was rather tragic. We saw some Flak 88s, but they didn't really do much, because again, most of the opposition was infantry, and something else would have done better, perhaps a Puma, perhaps a Stuke. Which he, of course, didn't really get. Another disadvantage he made was, of course, moving too close to the commandos with his infantry, and you don't want to move close to infantry with submachine guns. That's just terrible, unless, of course, you have submachine guns and some advantage. But he didn't, and he lost terribly for it. Very bad. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this fight. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own? I'm always open for new replays. Cheers.